Have you read all of the American Girl books? Or are you looking for stories set outside of America? Then this is the video for you. Hi everyone, my name is Sophia. I am a dog collector in Canada, and I just came up with this video idea because I loved reading when I was younger, and part of that was because of the American Girl book series. And because of American Girl, I realized I was a fan of history and of historical fiction. So let's dive into it. First is the Dear Canada or Dear America series. I see a lot of people reading this, even though it's been around for a long time. And there's two options. You can either read Dear Canada, which is the Canadian version, or Dear America, which is the American version. There are so many stories to choose from, set at different times, about different characters. There's lots of different options. I was homeschooled growing up, so sometimes my mom would get ones that were related to the homeschool curriculum that we were doing. But I also ended up just reading them because I really enjoyed them. So there's lots of options. I would say that I would recommend reading these after reading American Girl, or if you're a little bit older, because they're more like chapter books. They're longer than American Girl books, and I think they're meant for people slightly older, I think more starting like middle school age. But yeah, it's a really good series. Really enjoyed it. Lots of options. You can find them at thrift stores a lot, but I think you can still buy them in stores. I'm not sure. Okay, looks like Scholastic Canada still has Dear Canada books on their website, which is good to hear because I was worried that they stopped publishing them, which is sad because I see people reading them all the time. Okay, the next series, I don't think it's in print anymore. You can still buy it from places like Amazon and some used bookstores and thrift stores, but I really enjoyed them when I was younger, and I think it's a really good series if you enjoy American Girl, and that is Our Canadian Girl. Now, not to be confused with Mapley, which Mapley is a doll company from Canada that sells 18-inch dolls. Quite similar to American Girl. I mean, I'm a fan of both Mapley and American Girl, so I'm like, they're not the same. They aren't the same, but they are similar in the fact that they're both 18-inch dolls. And Mapley doll clothes fit American Girls and things like that. So I'm not talking about Mapley. I'm talking about a book series called Our Canadian Girl. It didn't have dolls, didn't have merchandise. These books are, I think, for a little bit younger because I remember them being smaller. So if American Girl book is intimidating, this might be a good step before going into that. But similar to Dear Canada and Dear America, there is so many options to choose from, so many parts of history, and so many interesting characters. With Our Canadian Girl, there would be series. You would have a character set in a certain time, and there would be a few books written about that character, so you could really follow that character on a journey. And it was also really cool hearing a Canadian perspective about things that happened in Canada's history. Next, we have a series from the UK called My Story. Now, when I was younger, there was only 4 books that had been released, and I read them and I did enjoy them. But now it looks like they have a whole lot more about different times in British history. So Dear Canada, Dear America, and My Story are all written like diaries from the perspective of someone, a fictional person who lived in that time period. Our Canadian Girl, I don't think was written like a diary. It was more told like a story. But one common theme that I've noticed with historical fiction, at least when I was growing up, was the diary style. I think it was just really trendy at the time, and I think people still enjoy reading them even though it's a fictional character, because it gives you a feeling like you really understand what the character's going through and the emotions that they're experiencing, because they're sharing things that maybe they wouldn't share with other people in that story. So just keep that in mind. If you're not a fan of diary series, then you might not enjoy these books. But they're definitely not like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, because Diary of a Wimpy Kid has lots of pictures and it's kind of like its own thing. So it's more written like as if a preteen was writing in a diary. I was originally going to do a video of 5 book series that you should read if you love American Girl, But then I came up with another one, and this is the other one. This is something called Royal Diaries. Again, another diary. I'm sorry. So different from Dear Canada and Dear America and Our Canadian Girl and American Girl, those stories focus on everyday people, or fictional everyday people. Royal Diaries focuses on a real historical figure who was a member of a royal family from around the world. For example, I remember reading about Marie Antoinette and what her life could have been like as a teenager slash child, preteen. I can't remember how old she actually was, but there is some elements that were true that actually happened to them, and then I think some other things they probably added in there that wasn't historically accurate, because I think if books were 100% historically accurate, it'd probably be a little boring. So Royal Diaries does focus on royal figures in history, but it's still worth a read if you enjoy historical fiction. Okay, so I have two other book series that are much older than these ones. And the first one is Little House on the Prairie. So Little House on the Prairie is very popular, and it's very possible you might have read this book already. Just like anything on this list, you might have read some of these books already. But I remember reading Little House on the Prairie as a child, and I reread it so many times. I really enjoyed it, especially if your favorite American Girl is Kirsten, or if you really enjoy the Kirsten stories like I did. Kirsten was my first American Girl, so I really enjoyed Little House on the Prairie. And there is so many books in this series. There is also kind of spin-off series about different members of Laura Ingalls Wilder's family, like descendants and ancestors of Laura and their stories, which I also enjoyed reading too. So there's lots of options, not just the Little House on the Prairie series, but also the other spin-off series, which was a lot of fun. So it gives you lots of reading options. The final book series that I recommend, again, it's another classic, and it is Anne of Green Gables. Now, a lot of people have read Anne of Green Gables, at least where I'm from. I live in Prince Edward Island, which is where Anne of Green Gables is set. So I am surrounded by Anne of Green Gables things everywhere. And a lot of people come to Prince Edward Island to visit Green Gables and go to all of these Anne related things. So to my mind, I'm like, everybody's read Anne of Green Gables, but maybe not everyone. So if you haven't read it, I highly recommend doing so. And what a lot of people don't realize is not just a singular book. It's not just Anne of Green Gables, which is the first book, but it's a whole series of books written by Lucy Maud Montgomery. So the second one is called Anne of Avonlea, and it just goes on from there. And I believe some of the stories go into her children's lives. She also has other series as well. For example, Emily of Nemours, The Story Girl, which Story Girl turned into Road to Avonlea. So if you've seen that TV show Road to Avonlea, it's based off of Story Girl. And they also took some things from the other Lucy Maud Montgomery's books as well. The reason I recommend Anne of Green Gables is because there's a lot of different film and TV versions that exist. So after you read the book, you can either watch the 1980s version of Anne of Green Gables. I grew up watching that one. A lot of people really enjoy that one. However, they did release a new TV series called Anne with an E, which is based off the Anne of Green Gables story. It was released in like the 2010s, 2020s. I'm not quite sure, but it is definitely a newer version. And it kind of explores some other themes, and it's kind of an interesting take on Anne of Green Gables. So a lot of younger people enjoy Anne with an E more than the 1980s version, because sometimes, I will admit, even though I love the 1980s version, it can feel a little dated just because it was filmed in the 80s. But Anne with an E does feel newer because it was filmed, I almost want to say a couple years ago, but probably if I search it up, it's probably going to be like 10 years ago or something. But yeah, there's a few different versions. Also, I heard that they released a new Anne of Green Gables anime that just came out. So there's lots of different versions of Anne of Green Gables to watch out there. And then of course a whole book series that you can read. So lots of material to dive into. And I like it because especially reading series like Little House on the Prairie, Anne of Green Gables, the reason I recommended them is because then you'll see a lot of the references in American Girl books, and you're like, oh, that's why Samantha is an orphan, is because it was a common trend in Victorian books to have an orphan as a lead character. Like in Anne of Green Gables, like in Little Princess. Pollyanna, I think, is another example. So you start to see those kind of tropes and cliches that were in older books referenced in the American Girl books. So So I think it's important when you're a fan of American Girl to read some of the classics, I would say, so you really understand what the American Girl books are referencing. I can make an hour-long video and still not cover all of the book series that are similar to American Girl that American Girl fans might enjoy. So if you have a series down below, I might have never heard of it too. So leave it down in the comment section below because I'd love to read it. And make sure to subscribe if you want to see American Girl collecting videos. I also collect Maple Leaf, the Canadian brand as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.